there, friends and sane persons. My name is Kyle, and it's Wednesday, which means it's time for another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Wednesday Whimsy is a short show I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game topic, a top 10, a top 22, whatever I happen to be thinking about board game related, and tell you what I think about it, give you my thoughts, and hopefully it's enjoyable for you, hopefully even informative. I'm actually pre-recording this one, unfortunately, because I am supposed to be on the Dice Tower cruise when this goes live. That'll be amazing, but I do want to make sure I put something out, so here we are, a week early, but still on a Wednesday. And today we are talking about a game that's really been a long time coming. This is a game that, I have a soft spot for this game system, and I don't know why. Every time I buy one, it always disappoints me, and and I swear I'm done with it. And then a new one comes out, and I jump back in again. The game I'm talking about this week is Marvel Zombies. Now, this is just the lid because the game is actually set up upstairs where I was playing it earlier. Because you can play this one solo. So, Marvel Zombies is the most recent entry in a series known as Zombicide. Zombicide is a game that came out in 2012-ish, where you took the role of a group of survivors and you were fighting off zombies, slowly upgrading yourself and trying to achieve some sort of goal. And then you either won or lost. It was a cooperative game. Marvel Zombies is kind of that same thing. I remember I have a Marvel Zombies comic upstairs, but at some point somebody decided to do a series where many of the Marvel superheroes had been infected with a zombifying virus and were attacking each other, and there were a few intrepid heroes fighting them. They did an episode of it on the Disney Channel What If show as well. It's an interesting theme. In Marvel Zombies, you are taking the role of a team of zombies, of super zombies, and you are trying to achieve some sort of goal. There are people to eat, bystanders to devour, annoying, pesky heroes who are going to get in your way. Various government agents come to stop you, but you are a powerful and an uncontrollable zombie, and you are trying to survive that. Kind of a fun twist on the theme. Ultimately, there's a scenario book that will give you a list of the objectives you have to do, and if you do them, you win. And if you don't, if one of your zombies meets another death, then you're going to lose. So that's kind of what it's about. Let's talk about briefly how it works. Now, if you've played Zombicide, 80 or 80, maybe even 90% of the rules are the same. It is very similar to regular Zombicide. Let's take a look at the board set up here. At least sort of. You've got these characters. These are zombies. For example, this is a Hulk zombie, and I guess that's a Captain Marvel zombie fighting Thor, it looks like. There are various shield agents that are also coming at you. And on your turn, you have a number of actions that you can take. You've got this, it looks like it's very much a mini's first game, and I wish I had better pictures to show you, but you have a dashboard set up. Here you go. It's from, looks like the Kickstarter campaign, and this dashboard holds your hero card. It has a tracker at the bottom to take care of your experience points that you get from killing enemies. It has a health tracker, and when that gets down to 0, you lose. And it has a hunger tracker, which is going to make you stronger as you get hungrier for zombies. A couple of spaces to hold extra cards as well. You start the game with 3 actions per turn. The game recommends that you play with 4 characters, regardless of how many players there are. There are rules if you want to play with up to 6. Don't, but you could. And you can play with fewer than 4. The game just suggests it might be more difficult if you do. And that's on your turn. You can take a number of actions. You can move 1 space. The spaces are going to be, these sort of street areas or into a building from one room to another. You can attack something in your space. Each character has an attack that's sort of innate. It's going to be rolling a number of dice. It'll have a range, same space, 1 or 2 spaces away. And then it will also give you a to-hit number. So, for example, if I had an attack range 0 with 4 dice and the to-hit number was 3, every die that was a 3 or higher would do a damage to an enemy in my space. Now, there is a priority for hitting enemies. You have to basically hit the bigger, stronger ones first, and the weaker ones kind of hide behind. That also includes the superheroes that are going to come in. They're going to be target priority 1. It's very luck driven, right? You're going to be rolling the dice a lot, trying to trying to get the right rolls. There are abilities you can have that will increase the number of dice you can roll, might enable you to re-roll something, might enable a free attack. Various things are going to happen that are going to improve it. Here you see all the figures. You can also pick up objectives. And then ultimately, there are going to be bystanders. And a bystander is a character from various Marvel movies who's going to be moving around the board, in many cases trying to escape or sometimes trying to chase you down and fight you as well. When you come into their space, you can't just attack them. You have to use a special attack called Devour. And when you devour them, you get to take their card and put it onto your board, which gives you access to another special ability. It also, once you've devoured somebody, heals your hunger. Anyway, you're going to do that. Then at the end of all of your heroes' turn, all of your characters are going to go, and then there's going to be a game phase where the game is going to react. So you're going to move all of the various enemies on the board. They normally move 1 space, some move 2, some have special rules. Then if you started the round or the end phase with enemies in your space, they're going to attack you. Enemies always hit, so you're just going to take that much damage. Hopefully not enough to kill you. You got to pay attention to that. And then there's certain spawn zones, and you're going to start at one that's clearly labeled Zone 1, and then just go clockwise around the board. Every time you activate a spawn zone, you flip over a card. It's going to tell you a type of enemy. It's going to tell you how many to place there. And every time you kill an enemy, you get an experience point. I'm sure it has another name. But when you get to certain thresholds, you start out in the blue, then there's a yellow, and then an orange, and then the very end is a red. Every time you cross a threshold, you're going to unlock some new special ability, and you're also going to increase your ratcheting up the difficulty, because when you look at these cards, you'll pick the spawn level that corresponds to the highest level anybody has reached. So as people do better, the zombies are going to cover the zombies, the heroic people, the agents, are going to be coming out more frequently in greater numbers. Some of the cards will summon a superhero. There are 6 in the base game. You're going to draw their card, and their card will give them some special rules as well. Heroes always have 2 actions, so they can attack twice, move and attack, move twice. And they also are more difficult to kill. They're kind of like the abominations from base Zombicide, but we'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. And once you've done that, you do your turn again, right? It's very simple. It's designed to be fairly streamlined, and you will either win by completing the objective or lose by either the objective becoming impossible, or sometimes there are rules in the book that tell you, you lose if X or Y happen, and you can also lose if one of your zombies dies. That's kind of it. That's how it works. Again, very lucky, but kind of that fun luck that is enjoyable sometimes. So let's talk about what makes it special. So first of all, the Marvel characters are fun. I enjoy them. I'm not a major Marvel fan, but I enjoy the movies, I enjoy the TV shows, and I enjoy the characters. The Marvel theme does not hurt. I don't know that it helps. I think I would like the game even if there were no Marvel characters in it, but I do not think it hurts. I think it's a nice use of the Marvel theme in a way that we don't usually see it. I also like that in this game, you're playing as the zombies trying to survive the heroes. Now, the game, there's a companion volume, which I think is only available. There's a watered down version that's available, but from this Kickstarter, where this one came from, it'll be coming later, where you can, every hero, the living heroes in the box, you could play as them instead. And then you're fighting off the zombies, doing different objectives. And in fact, the rule book has scenarios for playing on zombie mode and playing on hero mode. So you can play either way, but playing as the zombies is a lot more fun just because you don't usually get to play as the zombies, right? So that's another special thing. The rules themselves are pretty simple. They kind of just lay it out there, and you kind of go at it. There's not a whole lot of, well, what if this happens? You just kind of figure it out. Not a very hard game to learn, not a hard game to run. The AI sort of opponents are very simple. They do one or two things. It's never that you have to go through a huge flow chart. It's a very simple one. Is it in a space to attack? Yes, it attacks. No, it moves. There's not a whole lot more to it than that. So because of that, it's very easy to get out. Now, I'm wondering whether I'm going to talk a little bit about regular Zombicide here because it's part of what makes this game special and part of why I'm including it on a Wednesday Whimsy. So basic Zombicide had some severe issues. It had 4 or 5 features that really made the game more frustrating than fun. First of all, you could run exactly 6 characters every time. All of the scenarios were for 6 characters, which meant if you're playing it solo, you're running 6. If you're playing it with 2, you're each running 3. And that wasn't fun. It was just, I want to do one character. This game, it says, play with however many you want. Just be aware, it'll be more difficult if you play with fewer than 4. But try it with 3. If it's easy, try it with 2. Another thing was, in original Zombicide, there was a friendly fire rule. It was a weird rule where if you were shooting a gun into a space, you would always, always, always hit your allies first. You couldn't hit a zombie if if you had an ally in the space, which was ridiculous. In this game, that rule is gone. It just says there is no friendly fire. You're heroes. You can control where you're hitting things. There are other iterations of Zombicide where they have gone to great lengths to try and create a friendly fire rule that worked. Who knew that just taking it out would be that much better? In regular Zombicide, there were these creatures called abominations, and the only way to kill them was to find 2 specific cards in a huge deck. Once they're on the board, they would come at you, and there was nothing you could do except run away. And it would make the game really drag on because things would show up that would be very challenging to kill, and really you had to get lucky to do so. In Invader, they came up with a focused fire rule where you could, if you had 5 dice, you could, before you roll the dice, choose to focus them all on one enemy so you could do the damage to kill it. And that worked. But in this one, it says, okay, if you're on a space with a hero, you have to fight the hero first. You're not going to hit zombies while 4 is wailing on you. You have to hit them all in one attack, but you can do it, right? You don't have to run through and spend a bunch of turns sitting behind a closed door just drawing cards from a deck. No, I didn't get it. No, I didn't get it. And to make it worse, with that rule, you could only draw 1 card per turn. It was like, oh my goodness, if things showed up in the wrong order, it just dragged on. This game, fixed. There are no items. There's a deck of zombie powers you can draw, but there's not one that you ever need. They're just all bonuses. They're one-time use cards. You get it, you use it, and you get another one. Very easy, very clean. Another rule that was a problem was... I am blanking on it, but it's been fixed in this. It's been fixed in this one. So actually, I think that is it. It's the friendly fire and the searching and specific enemies, and then needing to have 6 players. So this one has really fixed all of those problems I had with the core game. I am so pleased. And who knew the simple fix was just to remove the annoying rules? Hey. Anyway, I might want to go back to the base game and try it again without some of this nonsense. There was also a lot of inventory in base Zombicide that you were constantly managing things. It's very streamlined. So I guess that's what I'm saying that makes it special. Is it drops the junk from base Zombicide and makes it fun. Um, Another thing that's special, nice component quality. It's it's these dashboards are very usable. The characters it's a nice fun mix of characters, the ones you would normally expect to see. At least now, once the Kickstarter stuff starts coming in, there's probably going to be a bunch of characters you haven't heard of. That's just, I guess, the nature of these games from Cool Mini or Not, and of the Marvel Universe. So, also, it's much shorter than regular Zombicide. This one moves at a nice clip. There's no because you're not kind of waiting for things to happen. You can just play. You just get started. Hey, let's go. Let's get started and let's go. So those are some things that make it special, and lots of them are comparisons to another game. But that's really what makes this game stand out: is it takes the base and it improves it and it makes it great. So let's talk about where's the but. So, couple of problems here, right? No game's perfect. First of all, the way to store this is terrible. I mean, the box at least with the base box, there's this like complicated insert where you have to look on the back of the box to see where all the figures go. It's going to be worse once more comes out. That's, I guess, a small thing, but a big thing is the characters aren't very different. I like that they have a lot. You've got the Hulk and Captain Marvel and Captain America, but they don't. At least the base level characters, their attacks and abilities all feel kind of the same. It's like the Hulk rolls 4 dice and hits on 4, whereas Deadpool rolls 2 dice and hits on 3. It you know it really is sort of iterations on the same theme. So now that's only at the beginning of the game. Once the characters have evolved a little and developed a special power or two, they start to feel a little bit more different, a little bit more like you would expect them to. Um, the problem with that, though, is that the game moves at such a nice clip. I don't know that I've ever gotten a character to the end. It's either been won or lost before I got that far. And so the characters never really grow to their full potential. And because they start so similar, um, it's kind of a I don't know. I just wish they felt more different. Oh, I remembered another special. I guess I'll click here. Another very quick special is in old Zombicide. There were a lot of keywords in this, and you had to look up constantly in this appendix. In this one, all the abilities are just written on the cards, so it's very easy to go to. Anyway, back to the butts. So yeah, there's just not all that many different characters. Also, the missions take a while to set up. So it takes a lot of table space. I will say that there's a good number of missions in the book, but if you play this a lot, using this, there's only 6 characters in the box, and if you've played each mission 2 or 3 times, you might get to a point where you're done with it. Until more comes out, and then at that point you'll have so much you'll never need to think about that concern again. Anyway, those are kind of the buts for me. Also, I guess I would say this is a really lucky game. There's just you're rolling dice all the time. You're flipping cards to see what shows up and when. And if you get unlucky, the game might end early. But if you go into it anticipating that, that's not going to be such a big deal for you. So, where does this game fall for me? So, every time a Zombicide comes out, I am excited to try it. I'm hoping this is the one. And every time I get disappointed. Black Plague is the best of the existing Zombicides. It's, I think, probably critically as well. It's the one that it's sort of a medieval theme. Also, Green Horde, which was more of a spin-off, an expansion to it, which is the same kind of world and just orcs instead of zombies. But I mean, those are the best that we have, and those had a lot of problems with them. They had the 6-character issue. They had the searching through the deck for stuff issue. They did solve the friendly fire, but they didn't do it in quite as elegant a way. So you kind of have those games where the top of the line. Then you have base Zombicide or the brand new Undead or Alive, which feels like it took 4 steps back. backward. It was very disappointing. Although I like the theme, it's just, ooh. Um, it added back in all the rules I hated. Uh, so, those are I would probably rate base Zombicide these days maybe a 6. I might rate Black Plague a 7. I will rate Zombies a 9. Marvel Zombies has elevated this game. Now, I haven't even played it on hero mode yet. I don't have the stuff for hero mode. It's coming. But just sort of the base box, the Marvel Zombies zombie mode, it's just so much fun. I got it out. I played it. I was like, this is what I have been looking for. So I think I'm probably done with the other Zombicide games. That's not true. I'm going to play Black Plague again because there's some Thundercat stuff coming out, and I definitely want to play with Mumra as a villain. But 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 I don't think there's a reason other than that very specific one to go back to these older games. I think Marvel Zombies, unless you hate the theme, uh, I think this is the best. This is as good as it gets. And it's pretty good. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. It is fast, it is fun, it's chaotic. It's definitely not a strategy game by any means. It's sort of a let's go. you know, Thundercats go. Thundercats ho, I guess. Oh well. Thunderbirds are go. But it's a chaotic experience and randomness, but it's so much fun and it's so streamlined and there's no questions about the rules and there's no looking stuff up on a table and there's no weird, but why do I have to hit you first? I want to hit that zombie. And there's no, I can't beat this thing. This thing has shown up, and because this thing showed up, I have lost the game. There's always a way. There's always something you can try and do. And I like that. I just have so much fun with it. I remember setting it up, playing it, and thinking, okay, here we go. And just thinking, that is what I was looking for. That is the Zombicide game I want. So if you like Zombicide, this is for you. Absolutely. If you liked the base game at all, this one takes whatever that game had and adds to it. And adds it in. It takes away the stuff that maybe that you probably didn't like, and adds stuff that you will. Especially once more expansions come out for it, which they are coming. Right, I'm waiting for a huge Galactus statue that's like this big. I'm waiting for lots more characters. I know they're coming, so I don't need to worry about that. But just in the base game, it's if you liked Zombicide, any of its iterations, and you don't care about the theme, right? I mean, if you loved Cowboys, then Undead or Alive, right? Or if you love base, today's zombies, then base Zombicide's for you. But if you don't care so much, Marvel Zombies is the way to go. If you are looking for a Euro game, well, you probably knew when it said Marvel Zombies that you were looking at the wrong box. But this would work well with families. It's not gory or gross. It would work well. It works well as a solo game. It would work well with anyone who's just a casual gamer looking for a good time. Obviously, it's expensive, so try before you buy. But if you like this kind of game, this kind of roll, a 6, 7 dice and see what happens, and get really excited or really disappointed when things don't go your way, then this is the game for you. It's just that much fun. 9 out of 10. I am surprised, honestly, that I like it as much as I do. It took them 11 years, right? This is not, I mean, I feel like I was a play tester for the last 11 years, and I've finally gotten my finished product. So, a surprisingly good review from me for this game. I know I usually give good reviews on the games because I only do them once a week, and I want to talk about games that I like, but I wasn't expecting to love this one as much as I do, and that makes me really happy. Anyway, that's it for this week's Wednesday Whimsy. I'm going to be back next week talking about something. Not sure what it is yet. Maybe it'll be a recap of the cruise, or maybe it'll be some game that I just fell in love with. Who knows? We'll find out together next week. But until then, I wish you, well, and me safe travels, courage when you need it, and I will see you back next week on another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Okay, bye bye.